Is it recording?
It's recording for sure.
Alright guys, I'm Frank.
I'm Jess.
It's Tom.
And this is not the Scranton MMA show, but it's a little similar. We thought we would sort of bring back this format, just kind of talk on camera about stuff.
It's been a while, so this is definitely fun.
Yeah. So we're just going to take like 10 minutes. We're going to talk about cutting weight. We put up a couple things on this. We thought it was important to, talk more about it. So we have a couple points. First thing, a big misconception is that people think cutting weight and losing weight are the same thing. They are not.
Yeah, I think we've all three of us have done both. So there's definitely a place for both, right? Cutting weight and losing weight. But it's definitely not the same thing. Losing weight is like more of a healthier style where you're cutting calories, watching what you're eating, trying to eat a little leaner, a little cleaner, where cutting weight is just sweating, starving yourself.
I think cutting should basically just mean anything short term, like water or whatever, you could cut fast and quick, Don't tell me you're cutting like 3 weeks out. It's
No.
Like, no, just lose weight and then you cut like a week out.
Yeah, and don't say you're cutting 50 pounds.
Yeah.
That's going to be like a long-term weight loss goal.
You have to lose 50 pounds.
Yeah.
You can't cut 50
You lose
pounds.
it and keep it off, and you do it in ways that are, healthy. Like not eating candy and, sugary drinks and stuff like that, like the basics. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of people might not realize that when you cut, that the weight comes back.
Yeah.
And sometimes it comes back with the
Hopefully
vengeance.
as soon as I'm right off the scale.
Yeah.
If you do it right.
Yeah, it's, because if you're, sweating out weight, if you're water loading or whatever it is, as soon as you start, like, drinking water again, you're just gonna gain it all back.
Yeah, that's kind of the whole point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to cut where you can put back
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah. So another thing is, people, I think they expect that we want them to cut weight for tournaments, and honestly, I couldn't care less. I think that, cutting weight isn't a necessity for competition, especially if you're new to competition, if you're a white belt. I would say, if you have 1 pound to lose to get down into like a different weight class, then maybe it makes sense. But honestly, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, I think when it comes to it, like if it's your first tournament, don't try to worry about weight cutting. You have to worry about the rules, where it's going to be at, all these new experiences. Don't make, hey, I'm going to try to cut 15 pounds on top of that.
Yeah.
Like,
I wonder how these ideas have been getting in people's heads. I mean, I guess I probably did.
Yeah,
Same,
I
too,
definitely did it at certain points and when I was competing. But I think like Jess said, like if you're 201 and you have to be 200 for the weight class below, train a little extra, maybe skip breakfast that day, and you'll be on weight, But if it's like 10 pounds, 15 pounds, even something as high as like 6 or 7, if you've never cut
Especially if you're
weight,
light. If you're light, if you're like 150 and you just think you're gonna like think off 5 pounds and go fight.
Yeah.
No, just go compete.
Yeah.
Go compete. That's the big thing.
I think the new weight tournament's coming up, so now's a little too short, but like if you knew about it 2 months ago and you say, hey, I'm 150, I'd like to get to 145, try to eat a little cleaner, try to actually lose weight, but cutting weight for it, like from now until the tournament, because that tournament's in 2 weeks, I think that's a little too short, especially if it's one of your first tournaments. If you've done 10, 15, you've tried like 10, 15 tournaments, you've tried and has succeeded in cutting weight, you know what works well with your body and what doesn't, that's a different story.
Yeah.
You know? But if it's your first tournament, your second, your third, don't worry about that sort of stuff. Worry about winning, worry about competing, worry about everything else that goes along with tournaments.
Yeah. It's already a lot of stress.
Yes.
Also, you know, sometimes people think that cutting weight will increase your chances of winning. I'm going to say that's false. I've had many times when I've cut weight, I've felt awful.
Yeah.
And then lost.
Oh, yeah.
If you have a bad cut and you feel like woozy and weak and slow, especially like the way, you know, where I was competing weight-wise, I was cutting from like a middleweight to a lightweight, like into a bracket where all the girls were really small and really fast. And so here's, you know, big old me coming in, and I'm weaker and slower and like dizzier, trying to like compete with these quick girls, and it just wasn't working out.
Especially as you get to the bigger tournaments. I know IBJJF's not in the Northeast at the moment, but for that, you step on the scale and then you step on the mat. And I know the last time I cut weight, I didn't feel like I competed at my 100%. I know smaller tournaments and judo tournaments are a little bit different, but have you ever had a bad experience with cutting?
Oh, I've messed up cuts. Until I figured out, like, it took me, that's why I want to do videos and stuff like this. The amount of dumb stuff I did, that, yeah, like, I got to this weight, and then you're like the zombie guy, and like, it's the worst in like, you know, in anything. Like, I remember I cut weight, but it was bad and stupid and messed up. And the first round I had a guy I beat before. I'm like, all right, well, at least, because I'm still trying to like pound Gatorade up until the match. It was so bad.
Yeah.
And I went out there, I'm like, all right, I beat this guy before. And it was like not the same guy. Like,
Yeah.
I went to like move him, pull him, and he was like, I was so done, it didn't matter, so.
And you
Yeah.
probably felt so bloated chugging.
I just
Gatorade.
I didn't have my energy back
Yeah.
yet, so
Yeah.
it's just like,
Yeah.
but that's like when you mess up a cut. But when you're like a white belt, maybe even a blue belt, even up to brown belt in judo, like again, you said like the competition is way more important than worrying about the weight class. Because like for all you know, someone shows up in that weight class and like what's it matter? So it's,
Yeah.
I think it's what we're trying to say is like focus everything on the tournament, getting good, getting better, enjoying the tournament, then like cutting weight. That'll come. And
Yeah.
then like you just gotta follow these directions. But just get in shape, go compete, and like have fun.
Do you guys want to talk about like the methods, like sort of proven, safe?
Yeah.
You know.
I mean that could be. It depends on like how detailed you want to go, but like don't just go off Google and go for it. I would say like talk to coaches and make sure like there is a right and wrong way to do it. You know, so. There's a lot of different things that might work for you versus like someone else. Like I love the sauna, and like that's a dangerous statement to make because you can have the worst tournament in your life after the sauna if you're not used to it, if it cramps you up, stuff like that. Where other people rather run the weight off, you know,
Yeah.
like get a sauna suit and run. I'm not running. My knees, hips, neck, everything hurts. So like you gotta find what works for you. But
Yeah.
you know, things like the water loading, carbs, sodium. All that,
Yeah,
like, that.
sodium's big for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like not fair. It's cheating. You like don't have to do so much stuff, and you can drop a very predictable amount of weight and put it back very predictably.
And this like falls more into the losing weight rather than
Yeah.
cutting weight. But for me, what always worked was knowing how many calories before I decided to start cutting. I would eat. I would cut back on my calories. The easiest way for me was just to cut carbs out because they have a lot of calories.
You're just cutting a whole food group at
Yeah.
that point.
And for me, I would still be able to eat big lunches, big dinners, just no carbs.
Yeah.
But I think, like, honestly, if you're really into competing and you're like, I want to compete like 6 times a year, 5 times a year, then figure out when you're not competing how to cut weight. Like, set a date. Like, all right, in 3 weeks, I want to be this weight. And then train that day and see how you feel. If you feel like
When people have never made the weight except for like fight night or day
Yes.
of the tournament, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be rough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
gonna be rough.
50-50. You could go out and
You
you could be like, oh, I feel lighter and faster,
Yeah.
or you could go out and just be like, oh, I'm starving to death. Leave me
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah.
But water loading is also a big thing that I did a lot when I was cutting.
Yeah. Because you also have to, like, train through those deficits, too, which is
Yeah.
really hard. Like, cutting out carbs and not having those reserves to go off of. And, like, it's such a different feeling when you're training.
And you're more prone to getting hurt.
Yeah.
That goes well with, too, like, sometimes, like, some people can't fall asleep on an empty stomach if they're real hungry.
Oh, yeah.
And then if you're not getting good sleep leading up to the tournament, everybody gets bad night's sleep the night of the tournament,
Yeah.
you know?
But leading up, you want to
Yeah.
be rested, and so it's tough.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into it. I mean, it's important to figure out the right way to do it. But before that, you just got to keep competing. Whatever your weight
Yep.
is, it is. Drop a pound here and there, whatever. But just like
Yeah.
get it into competing.
Yeah.
It's super worth it.
Maybe for your weight class, even if you drop weight, you might not have the advantage of going against a bigger person or someone your weight. Maybe you're really, really fast for your weight and you try to cut down to the lower weight class and you're like, these guys, I use speed to my advantage and now these guys are faster, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's
So
not
you're not
working out well.
Equal.
Yeah.
Our final point is just cutting weight does have its place in the fighting world. I would say it's not for brand new competitors. Personally, I think it's for like high level competitions. If you're doing like worlds or pans or like an MMA fight where it's like, hey, I can't find, a person at my weight, I gotta drop 10 pounds, that's kind of where I think it has its place.
Yeah, I think like the bigger tournaments definitely, especially if it's not your first one, it definitely has a place into it. Like you said, Worlds or MMA or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're like, hey, I feel like I want to compete this weekend at a local event, I don't think cutting weight is your best thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you're gonna compete a bunch, you should pick like one or two a year. Elite guys aren't cutting every month.
Yeah.
You're gonna miss out on too much training, too many rounds.
Yeah.
You're gonna get bumped, bruised, injured. You're not sleeping good. So you have to like train and then you can like cut. Like there's like whole,
It's like a
guys
cycle.
do nothing but like run gyms for all this nutrition and all that. So like it could get like super deep, and I think sometimes that discourages people
Yeah.
or puts pressure on them. Like you just want
You
you to
wanna-
go out, try, and have fun.
Yeah.
You'll win. You're gonna win. They know what they're doing, but like you have to get out there. You don't need that burden at first of cutting weight,
Yeah.
stressing yourself out.
And yeah, especially if you're competing a lot. I know like when the Miaos and the Mendez brothers were competing a lot, they would like at the opens they would compete at the weight class above, and then when it came to pans and worlds they would cut one weight class down because
Yeah.
it's unreasonable to, if you're competing a lot, like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times a year, to be trying to starve yourself for basically a year
The whole
straight.
year.
We know how that works out for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just not gonna happen.
You need food to function.
Yeah, the training is going to be the most important. As long as everything else is taken care of, right? Don't be, real out of line in any of the other things, and then it comes down to just the training.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
We have
I think-
anything else to say?
Have fun.
Yeah. Have fun. Okay? Make good choices. I stole that. That's not my line. All right.
That's it.
Good. All right.
Thanks for
everyone.
watching, guys.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
That
Okay.
was good.
Let's cut it.
Cut.